Being a little bit of a kind of historian on Addressable TV, it was back when I was working on General Motors, and I ran into Steve Burke at the lobby of the RenCen, which is where GM's headquartered, and I had asked him if we could do the first addressable trial, which he agreed to. So I think it was dating now 2006, 2007, where when I was on the agency side, we did the first addressable trial in Huntsville, Alabama, and it was a great learning test, and I think that the clients were excited about it, and the ability to take databases like Experian and Axiom and essentially do matches to drive advertising was kind of the holy grail back then, and I think it still is today. What we learned from that is that operationally, it can be challenging, right? So very manual at that point in time, like trafficking and really thinking through how we were going to do the matches on audience, et cetera, made it a challenge. And I think that everything that we've seen with digital, whether it's search, whether it was the early days of the trading desk, bringing in the workflow, bringing in the processes and the technology so that these conceptual ideas can actually scale is critically important. But I think that the industry as a whole, even more so today, is behind this notion of more data-driven approaches to marketing and advertising. In today's day and age, now being on the content side of the business and the technology side of the business, and being at Weather, I'm really fortunate for those early days that I had on the advertiser side. And the reason I say that is for our digital scale at Weather, like we've seen our ability, whether it's on mobile or whether it's on PC, that marketers get great performance when they work with us. And part of the reason that we see that is everybody cares about the weather. So we touch pretty much every human because they actually care about the weather as it starts and ends their day. And I think the notion of being able to bring that beyond our mobile and our PC properties to television could be extraordinarily liberating for our company. So as you know, I mean, the currency is demographics in the television marketplace today. And we think that for a company like Weather, really being able to focus more on specific audiences on an addressable basis, based on just the breadth of audience that we have, could be a great growth lever for us. So we embrace it. We're very open to working with different agency partners, but once again, it takes an agency network to be behind it. It takes clients to be behind it. And then most importantly, it takes the distribution players, whether it's Comcast or Time Warner or Dish or Direct. And we're seeing from our perspective that it is satellite and folks like Cablevision that are really on the leading edge of this. But I think ultimately for it to work for marketers, everybody's got to be on board and bring it to market at relatively a similar time, because it's difficult to say, hey, we can make New York addressable, but we can't make Chicago addressable. Like that's not really the holy grail. We love data and technology when it comes to our media assets. I think that most of the marketplaces come to appreciate that from us on the digital side. We'd love to be the first, national cable network, and we're the most fully deployed. It's always like us or ESPN, but I'd love to be the first network that's fully addressable as soon as that's possible. So from a timing perspective, like I said, it was 2007-08 where we were doing the first trials. We're almost going on 10 years since that happened. But I do think that there's a lot more acceleration from the marketers in terms of how they spend their money. And ultimately, it's where the money goes that tends to drive the marketplace. And if the marketers get behind it, I think that it will be fantastic in terms of an accelerant for the market overall.
And Curt, finally, about addressable, what does that mean for consumers? What does it mean for advertisers? Does it just mean more efficiency for you guys? Does it mean that new kinds of advertisers will be surfaced up? What could that landscape look like?
I think it'll take a lot of the best that we've seen from the digital marketplace in terms of getting the right message in front of the right person at the right time. And I'm also hopeful that it doesn't bring a lot of the bad things from the digital marketplace, which is ads following people around, right? So I think that we've learned what's worked, which is right time, right place, right message. I think that can bring efficiencies to the marketers, and I also think that it can bring a premium back to the content companies if they actually know who their audience is and can actually make that available at the right time. So that's going to bring a premium too. So I think it's a win-win for both the marketers and the media companies in terms of the dollars and the audiences coming together. And I also think that for agency networks, it's a win for them too, because it allows them to bring more services, more data and analytic capabilities to the marketplace. So I think that in an advertising landscape where Depending on what you look at, mobile growth looks great, video growth looks great, display growth somewhat muted. We see, the television landscape going through some, new curveballs that it hasn't seen before. So, it always takes something new to drive growth. And I think that addressable advertising could be one of those growth levers for the industry overall.